I read the book of our dear mother in the faith, Mrs. Faith Oedekpo, how she was struck on the altar. Went to preach with the husband somewhere. God's servant finished preaching for her to come take offering. She collected the mic and couldn't speak. After a few seconds, God's servant discerned that something was wrong. Rushed there and grabbed her from the altar. She was bedridden for more than 9 months. You will say, I thought this man says he's a man of faith. That's why it's happening. It's called trials of faith.
I welcome you to my YouTube channel, SalvationPedia. I hope that my videos have always been a blessing to you, and I thank you always for coming back to watch my content. Alright, let's get back to this video and be blessed.
The first area where faith is tried is in delay in God's promises. Number 2, second area where faith is tried is in the area of lack and scarcity. God will speak to you. You will know you are at the center of God's will, but you will not have the wherewithal to support that thing. Nothing frustrates like that. I'm sending you as an evangelist to bring my power to the nations of the world, and then you are there. You don't even have a microphone to preach the gospel. When your faith is about to be challenged, one of the areas where to be challenged is in the area of lack. I know it personally. This one, I know it. I may not have experienced delay much, but this one, I tell you, I know it. I will close my eyes, I will see nations. The other time, I went to pray with one of our senior brothers. As I laid on the altar praying, I saw flags of nations. Flags were passing. I woke up. I told him, this is what I saw. We held hands, prayed. I laid down again. I had another dream. They gave me perfume, gave him a perfume. His own perfume had a sword. And the man is an intercessor indeed. And my own perfume had flags of nations. But guess where I was? Laboring in a secondary school, earning 25,000 naira in a month, talking for 14 hours. In one of the schools, I taught mathematics, I taught physics. When the integrated science teacher was not around, they now added that to me. When I come home, my head will be juggling. I teach physics in SS3, teach mathematics in SS2, teach physics in SS1, then go to JS2 and teach integrated science. If you come home, your head will be like maybe a football that the 22 players finish playing and they put on your neck. 14 to 16 hours every month. When you finish 25,000, this 25,000, they are cutting 20 naira for every day you came late. They improved it to 50 naira, so you can't even collect the 25,000. Sometimes it's 18,000 you are going home with. Out of the 18,000 you have paid for bike, 8,000 in a month. So you hire a bike man who takes you to school and bring you back. At the end of the month, you collect this 18,000, you give the person 8,000. You are going home with 10,000. And this 10,000, sometimes debt has eaten more than 9,000 out of it. So at the end of the month, your salary, even your tithe, will require faith to take it out. But God said, you will go to nations. All the people we trusted in, my only uncle that all of us thought was the bailout. They promoted him, prison officer, gave him a car. He was driving home, had an accident and died. So you turn left, no support. Turn right, no support. But the Bible said, he called those things that be not as though they were. You know, some of you don't know how this thing works. What God told you will come to pass. But the day you realize that it's not money that sponsors destiny, it's faith, that's the day you will wake up. You will look for money, you won't find it. As important as it is, it's faith that brings money. Please sit down. Scarcity. 1 Kings 17. You read the story of Elijah. I don't have time. From verse 1 to 8, God sent Elijah, go tell Ahab, there shall be no rain. And Elijah came, verse 1, like a warrior before God whom I stand. There shall be no rain or dew, doing the will of God. But the question is, how will you survive? I'm telling you how faith works. You know what God did? Sent the guy to a brook. He sat there for more than 1 year to survive. That's what scarcity will do. See, there are seasons of your life where God will hide you in a school for 4 years. Because you need to pass through that season. All we have is enough to eat. Ravens will bring bread morning and evening. He will drink water from there. As if that was not enough, the water dried up. God now sent him. The only person available to be sent to was a widow. And Elijah came. The widow was gathering firewood. He said, give me a cup of water. As the widow wanted to go, he said, add cake. Who told you there's cake in this land? Are you not aware where we are? Are you not the one who shut the heaven? There's no cake anywhere. The one remaining, I want to eat it and die today. We have surrendered to death. And Elijah said, no, the cake won't finish. Go and make for me first. See, if you don't know faith, you will be shocked too. I said, what is left is to eat and die. He said, make for me first. God sent you on a mission. You thought wealth will come from everywhere. Then for 10 years, you are barely surviving. Barely surviving. Those are the things that teach you the way of faith. The question is, will that purpose be fulfilled? Yes, but you must pass through this class. The reason, no matter what amount of money comes to you tomorrow, it won't shake you, is because like Paul, you have mastered how to abound and to abase. It's part of the syllabus of faith. So you can't move Paul with money. He knows what it means to suffer, to despair. He knows lack. Your rank as an apostle is not the money in your account, it's the doggedness of your faith. In 2 Corinthians 8 verse 1, Paul said, I will not hide from you the suffering that we went through in Achaia. He said, we despaired even unto death. That's 2 Corinthians, I think 1 verse 8 now. The situation was so bad, it was as if they were dying. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of our trouble which came to us in Asia, that we were pressed out of measure, above strength, in so much that we despaired even of life. Verse 9. He said, but we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in God. See, in the journey of faith, a time will come when you will lack so much that God will become your water. God will become your food. Nothing will come from anywhere. If you will eat something, you will trust God to eat. But it doesn't mean what God told you is a lie. It's part of the process. Many don't know this. That's why God spoke to them. They thought it will happen immediately. And when they are not seeing it, they give up. Those who know faith, they don't give up. They stand to the end. Because the end is what justifies the means. Number 3, persecution. When you start the journey of faith, there are times when God will send you to certain places. Your biggest mistake is to call yourself a Christian. The whole system will turn against you. They will frustrate you. In fact, they will do it with malice and with evil. Ask some of our brethren who are in the force. You go to the police force and say, I'm a Christian. They send you out, come back and come with a message. See, sometimes some of the jobs that Christians do, If they tell you their story, you will know they have more faith than some of the global prophets. You are doing a particular job because it is expected that people should lie, because marketing there is lying, and you say you won't lie. They will send you to a village where there's no light, and where there are bandits, and you will be there for 5 years. When they are promoting people, they will say your file is missing. You will come to headquarters to look for your file. Clerk will tell you, wait, I don't have big. I don't have big. It's not buy me big. Big is envelope. And because you can't do it, you will sit down from morning to evening for 2 weeks. Or God will come and enter. When they see you, yeah, give it, you enter the office. Then they will enter and say, leave him. He has not seen anything. When he's tired, he will go back. And when you are tired, you will go back. What is your offense? I won't lie. What is your offense? I won't take bribe. And they will frustrate your life for 10 years. Meanwhile, God spoke to you. But your challenge is that you say you are a Christian. Let me show you scriptures. Daniel 3 verse 17. 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. What was their error? They said they don't bow to any other thing apart from God. Are you serious? When their enemies wanted to deal with them, they went to the king and told the king, the level of glory God has given to you, it's high time you build an image for the whole of Babylon to bow to it. They were doing all of that because of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And when the king did it, they said it will be announced, anybody that does not bow, you will go into the fire. So know the verdict from the beginning. Meanwhile, these guys walked with God. God has spoken to them. When they came before the king, this was their answer. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning, fiery furnace. Are you seeing the scripture? Burning, fiery furnace. Each of them is enough terror. He said, but he will deliver us from thy hand. Verse 18. This is where you will see the doggedness of faith. You know, these guys knew something. They were not talkers. He said, but if not, be it known to thee, O king, that we will not serve your God, nor worship the golden image that you have set. Number one, you don't talk to a king like that. Number two, not a Nebuchadnezzar. Number three, not on matters of his God. And Nebuchadnezzar said, what? You are this bold? We will see your boldness through persecution. And he said, that fire we spoke about, go and make it 7 times hotter. Go to verse 19. You don't know persecution, you don't know faith. When they were raising us those days, they told us, if your faith has not yet attracted persecution, your Christianity is not yet real. It's not this new generation Christianity that every time we gather, bread, breakthrough. That's why we can't raise men, sir. Our whole idea of faith is God will do it, God will do it. There are faith that they survive persecution. How many of us here can stand for Jesus in our office if our boss persecutes us for 10 years and say we will not compromise? And we say we know faith. No wonder we are not seeing the powers of the patriarch. He said through faith they subdued kingdoms, they wrought righteousness, they obtained promises, they quenched the violence of fire, they shut the mouth of lions, they put to flight the armies of the alien. He said weak men were made valiant in battle. Weak men. Faith taught them something. They became warriors because God gave them a thick skin. We will not bow. And the king said, make the fire 7 times hotter. And to tell you they were not bluffing, they tied them. And they didn't just throw them. It was a ceremony. The king sat down with his officials. The whole city were watching how they will torment them with fire. But God showed up. See, God will show up for somebody. Your faith will not be in vain. I say God will show up for you. When the king threatens you, you may not see God. When they tied you, you may not see God. When they carried you, you may not see God. But when you enter the fire, Jesus will show up there. I say God will show up there. How about Daniel? Thrown into the den of the lion. Jesus said, blessed are ye when men persecute you because of your faith. When faith attracts persecution, celebrate. Did you not read about the apostles? Acts chapter 4. When they caught them, they flogged them, never preach in the name of this Christ. The Bible said they returned to their company and they celebrated that they too have been counted worthy to be persecuted for Jesus. Trials of faith. Faith sometimes will shut doors against you. Faith sometimes will throw you to the den of the lion. Faith sometimes will throw you into the furnace of fire. Faith does not only open doors, faith also shuts doors. There are places you go to because you call Jesus, they will relegate you to the back. But the excellency of faith is that everything you lost in time, God has a way through restoration at the right season to cover up all of those things. When you look at the life of Joseph, you thought those 13 years was a waste. From when he was sold by his brothers to his days in Potiphar's house, about 11 years, to the time in prison, about 2 years, you thought it was waste of time. But when God showed up, even Potiphar was no longer qualified to stand before Joseph. So the things you are losing, you are not losing them. God is aggregating them for you. At the right time, they will show up. This is why no matter the persecution, don't back down. Let people laugh. It's part of the story of faith. Number 4. Health challenges. And this one is very common with people who are in the power ministry. You know, when we went for Reinhard Bonke's last meeting in Lagos, he was operated of cancer not too long. Even when he was preaching, you could see the fire, but the body was weak. And I stood there as a man who didn't have understanding at the time, and I was wondering, I said, this man, he dematerialized cancer. Why will he be operated? That's where you hear physician, heal thyself. People will even come up and say, all those things we told you were fake. Now that himself is sick, how come we can't see the healing power? It will look as if their narrative was right. You will endure it. People will mock you. I thought you say you deliver people. How come your own son is demonized? And many times, for a season, nothing will happen. It's faith. It's part of scripture. Look at the Bible. Job chapter 1. The Bible began this scripture by telling us the credentials of Job. Job 1 verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. This was a man who walked with God. But there was a challenge, and Job was not even aware. Satan went to God. Is it not because you blessed him that he's worshiping you? If you didn't bless him, will he worship you? God said, this man loved me more than things. Satan said it's not true. He said, okay, go and try it. He went. One day, all of his wealth and children disappeared. You will be there asking, all of them, where say, now they pray. Why didn't you see when Satan wanted to attack your son? If you have not heard such things, you don't know faith. If things things happen to you and everybody come to sympathize with you, you are not a man of faith. That means you have not said some rugged things before. They will show. I thought you say you see. How come attack came? 7 of your children, you didn't see one. You will keep quiet and learn humility in faith. As if that was not enough, Satan still came and afflicted the man. Are you not the one who was saying here that Christ in you is the hope of glory? Are you all the one shouting and singing, if that same spirit that raised up Jesus from the dead lives in us, he quickens our mortal body? Are you not the one saying, I cannot be sick? Oh God, how come you are lying down? You will turn to God and bite your finger. But you see, it will be too late to doubt God. And because you can't doubt God, it becomes like a prison. You can't deny your faith, and you can't deny the fact that you are where you shouldn't be. And people are asking. That's where Job found himself. It's called trial of faith. Your health will be attacked. Your loved ones will be attacked. Look at Paul, mighty apostle. The Bible says Paul was in Lystra. He was preaching. A man who was impotent from birth was watching, and Paul perceived that he had faith, and Paul told him, stand up. And a crippled man stood up and started walking. But Timothy, that was Paul's disciple, was sick. Guess what Paul said? Don't drink only water. Drink wine for what? Your often infirmities. Imagine if you saw Paul in the hospital with Timothy. You will carry phone and record. Come and see this fake apostle. I told you, all those miracles on the crusade are fake. See the real sickness. He can't do anything. Or God don't come hospital. Trials. Trials. 1 Timothy 5, 22 and 23. You know, I wondered how Paul felt when he wrote this to Timothy. Meanwhile, Paul was still talking to him about laying on of hands. He said, lay hands suddenly on no man. That means even Timothy was walking in miracles. So Paul was telling him, don't be carried away and start laying hands on everybody. Be wise, so that you don't partake of people's infirmity. Yet the guy was sick. So you will lay hands on somebody, he's shouting, I am healed. You turn, you are vomiting. That's faith. Paul, God mighty apostle, healed the sick, but his own disciple sick. He said, drink no longer water, but use little wine for thy stomach's sake and for thy often infirmities. So Timothy was sick. Paul was helpless many times. They had to look for a doctor to advise them. Recently, somebody said, these pastors have doctors. I said, you don't know faith. If you know the journey of faith, you will know. There's no law that says you shouldn't have doctors. But that doctors are present does not mean you should stop trusting God. Because of thy often infirmities. Those of you who follow the moves of God, you must have read across many generations some of the mighty workers of miracles. Either their children or their wives or themselves were sick. And they will go to massive crusades. Massive things will happen. But they will come back and nurse their sick children. I read the book of our dear mother in the faith, Mrs. Faith Oedekbo. How she was struck on the altar. Went to preach with the husband somewhere. God's servant finished preaching. For her to come take offering, she collected the mic and couldn't speak. And after a few seconds, God's servant discerned that something was wrong. Rushed there and grabbed her from the altar. She was bedridden for more than 9 months. You will say, I thought this man says he's a man of faith. That's why it's happening. It's called trials of faith. Some of you follow the prayer watches that just ended yesterday. I made a declaration. A lady felt like something was coming out. Rushed to the bathroom. literal fibroid came out of her. But I have somebody who needs healing in my house. They today is sick. You can't balance the equation. To make things worse, they followed. They were not healed. I saw other people's case. I didn't see their own. So what do you say? It's called trials of faith. You will go and lay hands on somebody's child. The person will come back to life. You'll come back home. Somebody else who is connected to you is going through a less condition. You shout, you sing, you pray, you fast, and nothing happens. They are trials of faith. Don't give up. These are the journeys. Even Jesus, they challenged him like that. He went to his hometown. The Bible says he couldn't do mighty works. They say, you, this carpenter, which day did you become a Messiah? We are the ones. Do you know we carried you when you were born? And Jesus tried, they couldn't. The Bible says only few sick folks were healed. So sometimes it's familiarity, sometimes it's unbelief, sometimes it's manipulation of the realm. Your duty is to keep believing. Number 5, trial of faith is the loss of loved ones. There are times when people you love will die. In situations that you will not be able to forgive yourself. You will weep and weep and weep. You will beg God, Lord, if you do this, all my life I will serve you. They will still die. I think it was either Roberts now or Kenneth Hagin, I forgot it. They said lost his son, and for many years he was weeping. I think it was Oral Roberts. Until Jesus gave Kenneth Hagin an encounter to tell him that his son was with him. The man couldn't forgive himself. I prayed for many, they were healed. I delivered many. Why would my own son die? There are many who fell from the faith because their loved ones died. But it's the journey of faith. Sometimes God checks their future. This is the best time for them to come home. So you prayed, nothing happened. Because if they remain on earth, some will backslide, some will go into apostasy. Some, the little things they have in God, they will damage it. So when God sees that this is the best time for them to enjoy eternity, he just carries them. And there are times when there are no explanation. When you finish grieving, you will move forward. It's part of the baggage of faith. Didn't you see Mary and Martha in John 11? They were weeping. We know Jesus. He comes here to eat. He sleeps here. He is healing strangers. Now our brother is sick. You are nowhere to be found. When Jesus eventually showed up, they didn't even let him talk. If you were here, our brother would not have died. When we are celebrating, you come. Now that there's sorrow, where are you? Sought to attack on Jesus. It's called trial of faith. It happens. This does not mean you should change your conviction. You stand your ground. You are not Alpha Omega. In this journey, you win some, you lose some, but you keep growing. That's how faith is. And if you want to question God, you will question for a long time. And the thing is, when you eventually go to heaven, you will remember. The joy will overwhelm you. So anyone you can handle. The ones you can't handle, thank him, move forward. That's how faith works. You know, in church, 2 million people, 500,000 people are following. 30 are healed. We celebrate it. What should we do? We should celebrate it. But we celebrate that 30 as though the 500,000 too receive something. Now, if you check the ratio, that's less than 0.01%. So as we are celebrating the 30, there are 300 that nothing happened. But you won't kill yourself. Because your name is not Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So instead of crying, oh Lord, see these 2,000 that have not been taught. If it's 10 that God healed through your faith, thank him and move on. And as you are growing, the ratio increases. That's faith. 2 Samuel 12 verse 22 and 23. I love the character of David. His son was sick. He trusted God, and the son died. See what David said. And he said, while the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, who can tell? God will be gracious to me, and that the child may live. Next verse. But now he is dead. Wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I should go to him, but he should not return to me. The man got up after he did all he knew to do. He showered, combed his hair, ate, and moved on. Now, there are times when God raises the dead. That's not the context we are dealing with. But there are times when you pray your heart out, nothing happens. Don't stop there. Keep moving. This is part of the journey of faith. Every faith giant have tasted 1, 2, or more of these things.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, kindly like, subscribe, and share. God bless you.